The title of the meeting, or the theme, is called Changing Practice and Perception of Psychiatry. Psychiatry is kind of at a turning point where it will go through a growth spurt with respect to our medical specialty discipline siblings, and will also really expand rapidly its scientific basis and its clinical capability.
This is a huge meeting. There are over 450 sessions. You can't possibly go to everything. So you have to pick each moment where you're going to be. And because it's New York, some things are here, some things are at the Sheraton, some things are at the Marriott, some things are at the Hilton. The meeting represents 40 countries from around the world. It is really an international meeting. It's not just a meeting of the United States. Very large representation from South America, as a matter of fact, this year.
This is a time where neuroscience is emerging as sort of the new basic science of how we think about mental illness. So there's a lot going on. At the same time, enormous public interest in these topics. Just did a quick survey of this with my staff. I think we see a threefold increase in the number of New York Times articles about mental illness over the last decade. Psychiatric genetics is indeed undergoing a revolution. We have over 100 hits now for schizophrenia. We think up to 30% of children with autism will have a genetic mutation. I mean, there is every reason to think that things are finally delivering in this, what has been a 2 or 3 decade search.
Mental health is simply too important to ignore. It's too widespread, it's too common, it has too many costs and too much suffering associated with it. And this is not a partisan issue. This is really a nonpartisan issue. No one is immune, whether you're rich or poor, whether you're black or white. Mental illnesses can strike down anyone in any family, and this is something that I think when you get, even in the partisan environment, when you get beyond that, there really is an understanding of this, I think, throughout both the Congress and the country. If we're going to get our hands around as a country the challenges of mental health care and the challenges of the cost and the suffering associated with mental health care, one piece of that means we have to be like first responders. We have to move towards people who are suffering, not away from people who are suffering.
You have to help us. I ask you to look at yourself and your family self about how many do have a mental illness, or as Dr. Insel says it so well, a brain disorder. I always like to say to folk, with diabetes, when it first started, there was just something wrong with the person, that they started to get gangrene, or their eyesight failed, or their kidneys failed. We didn't know what it was. And as the science got more progressive, we then began to know it was the pancreas that caused it, it was glucose, it then was insulin. I think through the work that Dr. Insel's Institute is doing, we are getting there. You know, we know what the symptoms and diagnosis are of mental illness, but we are slowly getting also to the neuroscience of it, and I think that's the exciting part for the future of psychiatry as you look at residents and fellows.